How you doing, YouTube? My name is Chuma Kinlawan, owner and operator of the Real Historical Tours of Atlanta. I'm making this video to explain why and how I got to a point to where I wanted to create a tour here in Atlanta that highlights the displacement of Black people in the community and throughout the city of Atlanta, from all the way prior to the Civil War, all the way up into the present. Gentrification has its hands in the city of Atlanta, closely related to what we know as white flight. Now, what we're dealing with is reverse white flight at a high level. So, the beginning of my tours, my interest in getting into tours, came from a friend of mine who lives in LA. He got into tourism in LA. He's had a tour in LA called the LA Hood Life Tours. It is ran by a good friend of mine named LA Hadari Sababu. If you're in the LA area, I would encourage you to take his trip, LA Hood Life Tours. Like I said, this is a good friend of mine. He was an individual that has always been very conscious, a very reader, a good reader, and just very intellectual brother, very culturally conscious. And he decided to get into tourism. He came to visit me here in Atlanta, and he paid for a few tours so we can go on and see a few tours down here and see what opportunities they had in Atlanta as far as tourism. Well, he was more into maybe the hip hop aspect of the tours. And when he came down, he seen that area was pretty much sold up by, an individual that pretty much had that already locked up. So he went back to LA, but he encouraged me to get my hand in the touring market here, and do a historical tour. So I did that. Starting about 2 years ago, I started doing the research of the history of Atlanta. And I did the research that started in this region prior to even the building of Atlanta. So a lot of what took place in building the city of Atlanta had a lot to do with displacement of indigenous people that were already here. So I started doing the research, and I seen how Peachtree Creek, Atlanta's known for Peachtree Road, Peachtree Street, and all these different streets of Atlanta. Well, that's because there was a vital life force in that area that people survived and thrived on the river, what they call Peachtree Creek. Now, these indigenous people lived along this region. It was like a cultural highway. Well, that population was decimated, and was basically forced out of the region, which you can also tie that into that historical story, what's called the Trail of Tears. And so from that mass displacement of people came the city of Atlanta, or later came the city of Atlanta. Before the city of Atlanta, there were little towns. There was a structure called Slab Town before Atlanta was even built. Now, Slab Town was inhabited by African Americans, Jews, and Europeans as well. I have visual documentation of those communities prior to, and what the lifestyle and living was like back then. So I wanted to highlight the communities in Atlanta that were influential Black communities that once white flight took place. If you have time, take the time out. You can watch a show. It's a TV series called Them. If you watch Them, it'll give you an idea of what was going on in the 40s, 50s, 60s when it comes to white flight, or white Europeans are living in certain communities. And then once a person of color or whatever moved in the community, they would move out in droves to get farther away from the city where more Black people were coming in which term white flight. Well, today the common term for it is reverse white flight, because now the areas that they moved into away from blacks are out in that area. So now they want to come back into the city of Atlanta, and they've always kept a financial or economic and a real estate stronghold on the city of Atlanta the entire time. And so gentrification in Atlanta is in full effect. And I wanted to highlight the ups and downs, ins and outs of the people that had to live here um, prior to this construction of Interstate 20 and 75. These major highways in the city of Atlanta were intentionally orchestrated to uh, uh, put blacks in a position to where they couldn't get out where whites were wanting to move. So in downtown Atlanta, whites began to fly farther east to DeKalb County, to Norcross, to Alpharetta, just to get farther away from where black people were moving in. And so when they abandoned these communities, black people kept them moving. They were thriving, they were surviving in these communities. There were a lot of pillars in the community, a lot of black excellence going on when it came to education. And so these communities were kept alive based on the black people that were trying to strive and create something for themselves. The city of Atlanta, the rich history of the city of Atlanta is because the black people were trying to make it, and they came in these communities that Europeans abandoned. And so this is one of the things I wanted to highlight: Castleberry Hill, Summer Hill, where a brother by the name of Alonzo Herndon bought a mansion, owned a mansion in Summer Hill area of Atlanta. And this individual was born a slave and became a millionaire. He was a pillar in the community. And so I want to highlight the prosperous mentality these people had despite all the challenges they had to go to. And I feel like it's incumbent upon me to tell this story. These are our ancestors, regardless whether we're all from the same area or not. We are all from one African family. And I want to be a voice for the ancestors. I want to be a voice for those individuals that had to endure those struggles, endure that displacement, and that continue to endure it now. I see it. I see the result of displacement, and it's a thing that is continuously happening here in the city of Atlanta, and I would like to highlight that. And that's one of the reasons, the main reason, why I just started the Real Historical Tours of Atlanta. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish everybody peace and blessings. Thank you.